Hi, today in this session I want to talk about Buddha. I have a great little book, maybe you can see it here. Okay, I'll kind of move it in close so you can see the title. Alright, so this is on my desk and every now and then I open it up to a place and I read it. As you know, I've said to you that the other two books to me that are the most instructive in terms of getting my mind together and going deeper into myself and understanding who I am so I can manifest more of my spiritual gifts, the same ones that you have, by the way, because we're all a part of the creative continuum called God. We're all co-creating our own reality based on our expectations. At any rate, in reading about Buddha at the beginning of his life, first off, Buddha means the enlightened one, just like Christ means the loved one, or also enlightened, divine. Buddha's name was Siddhartha, so it's Siddhartha the Buddha, just as it is Jesus the Christ, not Jesus Christ, okay? Different thing altogether. At any rate, what's really interesting about Siddhartha is that, and this goes back to the symbology of when he was born. He was born on the 8th of April. Now, the 8th from universal teaching symbology from numerology, let me rephrase that, from the symbolic significance of numbers, 8 represents material mastery. And in another session, I will do all the numbers, but for the now, I just want to go through these 8. Well, here's another way of looking at it. 8 represents material mastery. April is the 4th month. 4 represents an advancement or a block. And here's how we get there. I might as well do that now. 1 is unity within. 2 is balance and harmony. And the balance and harmony is between your spiritual and material self, meaning that your considerations should be balanced, not that you're materialistic or totally spiritual or religious, as the case may be. When religion, from my point of view, is a man-made, it has value. The downside is that it separates us. After all, there's only one God. So from my point of view, religion separates man one from the other. Because if I'm this and you're that, we're already in disagreement. We may share some common threads, but we already don't believe the exact same. And the reality of unity is we need to believe the same thing. We need to work together in cooperation without any interference of concepts in our mind. We need to be open channels. Anyway, yes, I have sidebars I get into. So 1 is unity, 2 is balance and harmony. If you are in balance and harmony, not only between your spiritual and material, but your male and female, then you come 2 and 1 make 3. You are in perfect understanding. Now, if you're in understanding and you're unified, you can be able to move forward. There's your number 4. 4 and 4 make 8. There's your material mastery. Okay? So there's that. And the story goes on that his mom, who was pregnant, was in a garden and she used her right arm to reach for a branch, and at that moment she gave birth. So what's interesting about that is the right side of your body is the spiritual side of your body. The left side is your material part of your body. Now I know there's another philosophy out there that says the exact opposite, because the left part of the brain controls the right side of the body, the right part of the brain, the left part of the body. However, again, we're back to man's thinking and man's not understanding. In fact, there was somebody who owned a metaphysical bookstore is the one who told me, oh, no. The left is spiritual, the right is material. So I said, well, give me an example of something that happened to you physically on either your left side or your right side. And she proceeded to do so. And I gave her the interpretation of what that was, based right side being intuition and faith in self. The left side is expression and more of material considerations. So you could almost say from a different point of view, faith in the material, which is a really horrible thing to have. Because when it's all gone, what have you got left? Nothing. So she told me what her thing was. I told her what was going on. And she did one of those, oh my God, you're right. Because that's exactly what I was going through. Also, Buddha was tempted by, and guess who? The devil. And because Buddha was actually a prince and came from wealth to begin with, the devil said, look, go back to the castle, take over your inheritance, and one day, not only will you have multiple riches, but you'll be able to rule the world. And that was the promise that the devil made to Buddha, just as the same devil made to Jesus out in the desert. So Buddha went about trying very different methods to find some internal peace. I mean, he tried meditation, and he tried being an ascetic, he tried being a hermit, he studied, so many trials and different methods. And you too may be going through the same thing. The catch-22 is that we have a tendency to rationalize and say, this is it, this is what's working. And yet the truth of the matter is nothing in your life is changing because you're still repeating the same old patterns of behavior. You know, like you may have said, well, I'm never going to get into that kind of a relationship again. And yet you may find that you are back in that kind of a relationship again. It may be with your partner, your significant other, all the terminology I can't keep up with. Or it may be where you work, with your coworker, your boss. The relationship is the same. Your personal history is repeating itself. At any rate, he went through many trials and things. And what's also interesting is that he became enlightened, became the Buddha. And according to the book, it says on the 8th of December at the age of 35. Okay? Now, here's what's interesting. 8, material mastery. 12, the number of disciples, astrological signs, tribes of Israel, princes of princes of Islam. The spiritual gifts that are within you, because we each have 12 spiritual gifts. So, at any rate, going back to the book, the first teaching, and that's what I want to share today, as opposed to all the prehistory, the first teaching is make yourself a light. Now, what does that mean to be a light? And it means understanding who you are. You know, Jesus said that the kingdom of God is within. And here it is, Luke 17:21. The kingdom is within. So if you can allow the kingdom within to manifest without, guess what? You'll be a light. People will see it, sense it. And as you're manifesting it, it will change everything. So the teachings, Buddhist teachings, are on some levels the same universal teachings that Jesus taught. They're the same that Confucius, Aristotle, Plato, Lao Tzu, all of them fundamentally said the same thing differently, appropriate to their time, appropriate also to the level of consciousness of humanity at the time, which is why I consider Jesus to be the teacher for our age. Because Jesus, the teachings, if you and do them, do my sayings, will take you to another level of consciousness, another level of awareness. Jesus even taught, many will come and do the works I do, even greater works. Okay? Why hasn't anybody showed up? Because you're not taught how to go within. Man teaches you to look out there. And Jesus was very clear about that. He said, if they tell you God is in the heaven, the birds will precede you. If they tell you it's in the sea, the fish will precede you. The kingdom is within you and it's all around you, because we are all manifestations of the God force. That's why with that power within, we are co-creating the reality we're experiencing. Anyway, Buddha said, rely upon yourself. Stop looking outward for answers. Any answers you need are within you. If you're dealing with a situation, understand it. Understand what within you doesn't allow you to master it. You may feel you need information. Go find it, learn it, employ it, then apply it. That's the secret, is application. He also said, do not depend on anyone. Well, that's the same thing Jesus is saying differently. Know the truth will set you free. Become as a child, that's another thing. There's so many universal teachings, and we're going to go through them all in a little bit more depth than I'm doing here, but I just want to share some of the thoughts on Buddha. Buddha also said to make his teachings your light. Well, he was 500 years before Jesus, so yes, at that point in time, at that level of consciousness, his teachings were wonderful. However, 500 years, a lot changes. Humanity, look at what we've gone through just in the last 100 years in terms of our understandings, in terms of our growth. Okay? So 500 years later, the God Force made another vehicle available that could not only teach the teachings, but demonstrate them in action. So you've got that. In short, what Buddha said and what all of the masters have said is to truly, first and foremost, master yourself. Get in control of your mind, because that's where everything is happening. Be who you can be, not who you think you should be. The last thing I want to cover is what Buddha had to say about man's nature, the way that he saw it at that point in time. And the analogy, I really like the analogy, because I still think on some levels it's appropriate for today, go figure, right? But he said that the nature of man is like a dense thicket, hard to find a way in and difficult to penetrate. And that's very true. This is why learning to have eyes to see and ears to hear, learning the language of your mind, the symbology, that helps you to penetrate the within, to understand who you are and why you do and react. Let me rephrase that. Why you act and react the way that you do. Another thing that Buddha said, as far as the nature of man, was that man causes himself to suffer. And the reason for the suffering is twofold: bad teachings and bad practices. And I think those still go on today, because some of the religions are giving you bad teachings. Instead of preaching what Jesus taught, which is love one another as your own brother, the apple of your eye, we see it going on in our country today, division. And there's a teaching about division. A house divided cannot stand. We may be looking at the ending of the Roman Empire in this day and age because of all of the anger and hate towards one another. My religion doesn't work with your religion. This guy doesn't like that guy. Your color is offensive to that guy. It's insane. And it's very un-Christian. It's very un-Judaic. It's very un-Islam. It's very ungodly. Period. Another thing that Buddha said was, man causes others to suffer. Okay? And we can see that going on too. So not only do we make ourselves suffer, but we want other people to suffer too. I mean, why should I suffer alone? Suffer with me. Or let me make you suffer. I'm really okay. I'm not suffering, but let's make you suffer. And they do that through cruelty and unkind acts. And the most severe, obviously, is killing. Okay? So, and the last cause was what I just said, where, I'm suffering, I want you to suffer with me. We are messed up. However, it doesn't mean that we're hopeless, because we can go within, we can find the truth of who we are, and begin to manifest that divine love, that Christ consciousness that we all need to achieve so that we can do the same works, greater works, and help humanity heal. That's what we're about. So do not suffer. Stop your suffering. Understand what it is, what's causing it, why you're going through it. And don't cause others to suffer. Be helpful where you can, when you can. Don't hesitate to share some of that divine love. And divine love, great term, isn't it? It means total acceptance of others no matter what. No matter their belief system, no matter the way they act, no matter the color of the skin or their gender. Equal divine love, no matter what. Anyway, go back to becoming the atom. Name the beasts of the field, the anger, the lust, the greed. We got a lot of that going on in this country. At any rate, and all over the world, money corrupts people. It's really fascinating and sad at the same time. Anyway, have yourself a wonderful everything. I hope you have a different perspective on Buddha and can appreciate some of the things that he brought to humanity. And as time goes on, we'll get into some more of his teachings as well as the universal teachings that Jesus presented and where the two are aligned. Personally, and I think I've said this before, that for my point of view, from my point of view, Jesus is the teacher for this age. And so I feel that his teachings are the more relevant ones and the ones that we need to really examine and understand, which is why we will be doing the Gospel according to Thomas as well as the King James Version in the four Gospels and other teachings throughout the Bible. At any rate, take care, be well. If you'd like more information, go here, CUTAteachings.org. It's all free. And hope to see you again. Take care.